Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Nashville Tour Stop Podcast. We have a special episode this week because for the first time in many episodes, we have two guests. Please welcome to the show, Evan and Preston of THIS2.
What's going on? What's going on?
Welcome to my house.
Thank you, brother. Thank you for having us.
This is Phyllis, the dog.
Yeah.
She's beautiful.
She's beautiful. She barked at you when you walked in.
Well, it's her little way of saying hello, you know?
I was in my bathroom and I heard Phyllis barking. I was like, oh, they're here a couple minutes early. And then I was like yelling at her from the bathroom, and I was like, they probably hear me yelling at my dog.
Dude, we were sitting out there humming "I'm Just Kin" to ourselves, so we didn't hear anything except Ryan Gosling in our head. That's all it was.
Which is basically the same as you.
Yeah, you and Ryan Gosling.
Basically, there's when people talk about the most beautiful people on earth, you know, it's like Scarlett Johansson, Ryan Gosling, Aaron Schilb.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, I would go for it, but maybe there's more beautiful people we can talk about.
I haven't found him
like,
yet, but
like
whatever.
Evan and Preston.
There we go.
Ooh, very nice.
So just since we do have two, I don't even want to call you co-hosts, guest hosts, whatever you want to call yourselves, would you please each just say your names so when people are listening to you talk, they know who the heck is talking? So you go first.
Preston. Eggert.
Preston. And
I'm Evan.
so you guys are the founding members, the core band of Nashville Pop Duo, THIS2.
Yes, sir.
When did you form the duo?
So we initially formed the duo, or we officially formed the duo, rather, a little over a year ago.
Okay.
It was in June of 2022. But Preston and I have known each other since we were in high school. And
I didn't even know that.
Yeah. And
That's
we were
cool.
making music together for a long time, even leading up to THIS2 being created. Like, we were performing together. It was, we created THIS2 and officially came together as a group when the label approached us and said, hey, we want to sign you both. So we had already been writing together, performing together, producing with each other, all that stuff.
That's
So
cool.
It was
THIS2
really
is,
easy,
yeah, it's been around for a long time in a weird way,
Yeah.
but it's official.
So
life
if you
started.
went to high school together, did you like know each other all like growing up and everything?
Ooh, interesting
Well,
question.
so we didn't go to high school together, but we met in high school.
Okay.
He actually went to a neighboring high school. It's the same one that my parents went to
Okay.
growing up. And I lived like 5 miles down the road. But we met, 300 miles from home in
Yeah.
Odessa, Texas? It was further than that.
What was the
at a
occasion of
state-
you meeting in Texas?
Gymnastics state meet.
You were both in gymnastics?
Yeah, Preston.
What?
Yeah, Preston's a pre-Olympic gymnast.
I've known you guys for a while. How has this never come up before?
Well, we got to save some stuff for the podcast.
Yeah, exactly. We had to save it
we
for
had
the
to have some
podcast.
stuff
You're
to
like,
talk
we got to
about.
save some of the super juicy secrets for when we're on air.
Exactly.
get the
Exactly.
reactions.
Well, see, I started gymnastics like 8th grade, going into high school, and I was a ring specialist, and I was like technically not that great, but I worked super, super hard and got a lot better. But the big focus at that age, when you start that late, is just getting super strong. So my high school gymnastics coach just made us do conditioning on conditioning on conditioning.
Gotcha.
And then Preston had been doing it since you were like, how old?
I was 4 years old.
4.
Okay.
4 years old when I
Yeah, so
started.
he was a pre-Olympic gymnast. He's like super, super, super good. So we would all like see Preston go compete at these regional meets, and like I'd be sitting there being like, the coolest thing I can do is a double backflip off these rings, and this dude's doing like double doubles and like all this stuff is gymnastics terms.
Can
We
you
won't
do
get
the
too
like
much
the
into it.
run up and kick off the wall backflip thing?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
dope.
I was, yeah. Preston can still do a lot of flips and stuff.
Got to go to a trampoline park at some point.
Yeah, get him knock off all the rust.
I may be almost 30, but like every bone in my body's like, I want to go to a trampoline park for my birthday.
Dude, let's do it. We're
Like,
so in.
Like, I think that'd be a sick birthday party. Everyone's like, let's go to this seedy dive bar where you can smoke and we can buy drugs. And I'm like, can we go to Applebee's and then go to a bouncy castle? Like, I want to, like, I feel like the 12-year-old inside of me is like, the 12-year-old child mindset has never gone away.
You know,
Apparently we should
I
hang
agree
out
with
more.
that. It is on my bucket list too. I've never been in a ball pit, and I really want to go to a ball pit.
You've never been to a ball pit?
No, but here's the
Oh.
thing. One, it's like now I don't want to just go to any ball pit because there's things in there.
Like, okay,
Yeah.
so when I was
You
a
know?
child in the 90s, they had 2 different ball pits in like the McDonald's Burger
Yeah.
King play places,
Yeah.
there would be the tiny plastic ones where you can dive in and it's like a sea of the ball pits. But then they would also have these humongous, like at the time they looked like giant boulders, but I guess they were probably the size of like exercise balls, you know,
Oh,
the
yeah.
Oh, that's still
the rubber ones. But they had giant balls that we'd like melee each other with in these play places. And now I
Wow.
look at kids' play places and I'm like, that's boring as shit. There's nothing dangerous in there.
Yeah, what happened to lawn darts, guys? Come on, bring those back.
Gosh, did you guys ever go to Chuck E. Cheese?
I used to go to Chuck E. Cheese all the time. Like in my head, there's like the nostalgia
Yeah.
of the best pizza, man.
Yeah.
You get the tokens with the mouse on it. You get
Mhm.
Chuck E. Cheese.
Dude,
Like Charles E. Cheese.
Charles E.
I missed
Cheese.
out on that. I never went to Chuck E. Cheese. And
Man.
I'm pretty sure you're not allowed to go unless you have kids.
That would
Oh, yeah,
actually
no,
be.
I, don't think
I
you
think
are.
they don't let you in.
No.
Yeah, because you say that, I was like, maybe I should do my 30th birthday at a Chuck E. Cheese.
I don't think they'll let you in.
That's all.
They might if you do like a buyout.
Yeah, actually, if you do a birthday party, they might.
I wonder.
Yeah.
So, like these Broadway bars have like $25,000, $50,000 buyouts. I bet the like buyout at a Chuck E. Cheese is like $80 and a pair of shoes.
Not even good shoes.
If
they're
you just
like
have the
box.
manager's phone number, I think you're kind of in.
Yeah.
Feel like
You've
that's
never
it.
been to a Chuck E. Cheese?
He's never.
You've
been
I've
never
never
been to a Chuck E.
I've never
Cheese.
been. No, I mean,
What kind of childhood did you have?
dude, Texas is weird. I was the youngest of 3 boys. By the time like I was of Chuck E. Cheese age, my brothers were way past it. So they were like, we're definitely not doing that.
That's
Yeah.
lame.
You know?
We grew up like not very far from each other, but
Okay.
our childhoods are drastically
super different.
drastically
Super different. Well, Preston's adopted
Yeah.
and has an older sister.
Uh-huh.
And then I'm youngest of 3 boys, which is already just the sister and the youngest of 3
Mhm.
boys is already super different.
Mhm.
But
I'm
he
the
had an
youngest of 3
interesting
boys,
bringing up.
also.
Really?
I got 2
Oh,
older
wow.
brothers. I was definitely an oops baby. Like,
like a
there's no
Valentine's
way
Day
that I was
kinda-
planned. Like, my birthday is 9 months after Valentine's Day.
Yeah, that's
yeah,
it. Yeah,
there it is.
6 years after my brother. Like, I'm an oops.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
an
I told my
oops.
dad, I was like, hey, I did the math. Like, was I an ex? And he goes, no, of course not.
No, you were
You were-
surprised.
Yeah, and I'm like, yeah, that's the same thing.
You're like, that is literally
Those are
what that
synonyms
means.
in the dictionary.
You're like, wow, I just learned that my dad is PR trained.
What?
Yeah, and it's like, I know my grandparents are listening to this episode, so Grandma and Grandpa Smith, yes, I know that I was an accident, but I do know you still love me.
like, they love you a little extra, you know.
So
it's a nice
you
surprise.
both grew up in Texas,
Mm-hmm.
and did you move to Nashville at the same time then?
No,
No, so I moved out here in 2018 for Belmont,
Mm-hmm.
and then
Did you graduate as well?
I graduated last May. Yeah.
Gotcha.
So I did senior year twice.
Gotcha.
But he moved.
COVID's quite an interesting.
COVID
one,
was it definitely did not help having to learn copyright law over Zoom.
Yikes.
Did not help me at all.
But-
But
I moved out here in August of 2021, and then I don't know. The way to describe it is we've both lived here like full time for the same amount of time. Because when
Okay.
he was in college up to 2021, obviously, well, I guess up to COVID, he was still back for summers and back for winter break. Since I moved out here in August of 2021, we
So
stayed
y'all
out
were
here.
buds all through college then, though, still, right?
Yeah.
yeah.
Whenever he came back into town, we were always hanging out, always immediately making music. I was blowing this dude's phone up nonstop.
yeah, one thing to know about me, I actually responded to him, which means I liked him a lot.
Yeah. It's tough to
was-
get a response from
I
Preston.
had like 11 assignments due at the same time, and he'd text me and I'd be like, "Oh, these can wait."
You're like, "He's
I
doing
love
it."
that the college professor mindset. They're like, oh, you have time to do this. And you're like, literally, I do
No,
not.
do not.
Like,
Yeah.
all
no
of the
idea.
classes I'm taking think that I have time for it. And because all of you think that,
Exactly.
I don't have time for it.
Exactly. And yeah,
that'll
then
work.
it puts you in an awful position to try to set yourself up outside of those classes. If you want to go, have a job, make some money, especially if you're paying for school yourself, it makes it really tough.
It gets
Um,
worse in college because the professors have so much freedom over like how they run their classes.
Oh my God.
they can
it's,
just do
it's
whatever
like
they
the
want.
Wild West.
It's crazy.
Like I had a college professor my freshman year who it was a music of the world class. And I think I told this story on the podcast not too long ago, but I was in this music of the world class and it was an 8 a.m. survey my freshman year. And it was the worst. It was so boring. And I went to a big state school. So the classes had like hundreds of people and they were the auditoriums, like seating. So I was just a number, like
Yeah.
never talked to the professor.
Yeah.
But I showed up on time every day and I never missed the class. and I slept through almost every class period. Like I was in the desk sleeping, and because it was just such a big anonymous classroom, at the end of the semester, the day of the final, our teacher called me and another girl up to the front of the class, and it's like, ladies and gentlemen, these are the only two people who did not miss a class this semester. And then he looks at us like on the side and he goes, do you guys want A's on the final? And we're like, yeah.
That's
He goes,
happened to
he
me a
goes,
couple
you're
times.
good, you can leave. And I was just like, I do not deserve this.
Dude,
like the only
but you
reason
ran with it. You ran with it,
I
no
ran
doubt.
with it. I was
You
like,
doubled
don't
down.
ask.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, you have to, right? At that point, you're just like, yeah. And I've appreciated the time that I've spent with you here, Professor.
I learned so
da-da-ba-da."
much, Professor, whatever your name is. Thank you. Goodbye.
My largest class was less than 40 people
Really?
across all 5 years. Yeah.
That's
well, the
crazy.
average was 13 to 16 people per class.
That-
And Belmont prides itself on having small classes. So
Right. Yeah, that's
kinda
not
how
the
it
case at big state
Let's
schools.
say, yeah, that's
Mm,
not.
Like I
No.
graduated from University of Missouri, which is a huge state school in
Mm-hmm.
my hometown, and I think like it must have been almost every class I had 150 to 250 students. Like my smallest class had about 50 or so, and that was entry level French. But like all of the classes I had to take were just huge classrooms.
That says even more about the fact that you were one of two people who never missed a class.
Yeah.
Like, or that.
you
I
said it was
was-
an 8 a.m.?
I felt so good about. Say what?
You said it was an 8
I
a.m.
got an
class?
A.
Well,
I did not deserve that A. Like I definitely was a C average student. Like through the entire semester, I was like sleeping through the classes, turning in the assignments.
C's
Like,
get degrees, though.
yeah, and I would take exams because did you guys have to use clickers? They were the Bluetooth remotes that.
Yes.
pair
Oh
to
my
the
God.
TV.
That unlocked a memory for me. Yes, I did use clickers.
I
Oh my
did not.
gosh.
What-
Yeah.
what
Yeah,
are
but
clickers?
I mean, it wasn't through college. It was much younger days for me, but it was still.
Do you not know what we're talking
I do
about?
not know what you're
So,
talking about.
for those of you who are listening and don't know what a clicker is, it's a remote that has like 5 buttons on it, and it pairs to a device that's connected to the teacher's, like whatever you want to call it, the computer or something.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And you bring it to the class, and everybody has their clicker. And then the teacher puts the questions for the exams on a projector, and then you have 2 minutes to answer each question. And then
Yep.
it's just multiple choice, and then you click your answer. And then once every answer's been submitted, it goes to the next question. So the teacher doesn't have to do any of the grading. And then at the end of the exam, everyone knows what they got.
It's kind of like Kahoot, but not with your phone.
That's really
The clicker was like, at least for me, it was shaped like half an avocado.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, it's very distinct in my head. I totally forgot about that until you
Yep.
brought it up. Yeah.
I would have
remember the
enjoed
clicker.
that. I would have enjoyed that.
It
I've
was
never
great.
heard of
Yeah,
that
bro. It
before.
was like especially.
Yeah.
Well, I did it in elementary school, so especially for us, it was this like. It was like a cool day when you got to bring out the clickers. It was like, yeah, bitches, that's right. What can we curse in this?
Oh,
Like,
you totally can.
Okay, cool. I was
Fuck
like,
yeah.
yeah, bitches, we got clickers. What's good? It's like
Yeah.
when nobody else got to use them. Like you'd walk out to recess and you'd be like, what'd you do today? Huh? You learn about shapes? Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay.
They wheeled a TV into your classroom.
They wheeled the
No,
TV
I was a terrible student. I wanted to do well, but like even like from my freshman year of college, I always knew I was going to try to do music full time. Like
Yeah.
I want to be a songwriter.
Yeah.
I want to be in a band. I want to go on tour. So every class that I signed up to take, I was just like, this is dumb. Like,
Oh
this,
yeah.
this doesn't matter to me.
I was pretty similar. I made good grades in everything that I applied myself to for sure. But I was also super sick growing up through school.
Really?
Yeah. I have an autoimmune disease that's called eosinophilic esophagitis.
I love when he says
It's,
that.
yeah, it's an interesting word.
Well, we've kind of skipped over the first question that I normally ask, like right
Oh,
at the
yeah.
top. I love it, but
Oh yeah.
the way I normally start our episodes is by asking how I met the guests. So, do one of you remember how we met?
I do. I do
Regale the
remember.
tale.
Well, so before THIS2 was created, I knew of Aaron and Nashville Tour Stop, and you guys were like the round to get on, the like promotion to work with. It was Tour Stop. So you guys were on my radar, and I'd like seen you at Belcourt and at Cabana a few times, and I'd introduced myself in passing, but like nothing substantial. And then our drummer and amazing friend and a good friend of yours, RJ McGaw.
Hell yeah.
brought
Shout
us
out
on
RJ
for-
McGaw.
We love you,
RJ.
RJ. Brought us on for his round 615 Revolver,
Mm-hmm.
which we're actually playing in like 2 days. Shout out Revolver too.
If you're listening,
Man.
they already played and they were awesome.
Yeah, we played I'm Just Ken. We killed it. It was great. But we got to go play at the Moxie down on Broadway, and RJ last minute couldn't host the round, so it was you instead.
Mm-hmm.
And you hadn't seen us play live, and like you'd like I think heard of us in passing, but
Probably because I had created the poster
yeah.
with your name on it, and it's like, who are these guys?
Yep, exactly. And then you heard us play live, and I remember like watching your face change as we started singing together. I remember you being like, "Oh,
Oh,
okay," and like you started smiling. You immediately pulled out your phone and like started
oh,
doing the
awesome.
like. He's like, "Oh, okay."
Were
And
we
then-
this too at this point?
Yeah.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, we didn't play for 615 before this too was a
Okay.
thing. And now we might have been this TOO at that point in time,
Oh yeah.
but
because I definitely remember that. I didn't remember that that was the day we had like become friends.
yeah,
But I've had that happen before where I host a show or I've been at someone else's show and like two people start singing and then you click and you're like, oh,
you're like,
this is good. Because I don't want to say that I can like glaze over because I hear so much music all the time.
Dude, we're
and
in
I go to
Nashville,
so many
yeah.
shows.
Mhm.
A lot of it kind of homogenizes and it does start to sound the same. So when something like you guys stands out, I'm like, okay. I need to pay attention to this.
Well, we're glad it stuck out to you because we've had such a lovely relationship since. You become a mainstay in our lives, and we
Yeah.
love having you as a friend. And then getting to work with Nashville Tour Stop is like I said when I first moved out here, it was the people that I was like, okay, work with Tour Stop. As I was like first started working with RJ, and he was drumming for me before THIS2 existed, and Preston was just singing background vocals for Evan while he
Mhm.
was in school, and then RJ was the first time I'd ever worked with a drummer. I couldn't even play to a click track, much less RJ. And he just kept being like, hey man, you're not ready for Tour Stop yet. You're not ready for Tour Stop yet. I'll bring your name up when I think you guys are ready for it. Because he was like, dude, trust me, if you go in there and you shit the bed, you're going to hate it. It's going to be you're not going to get booked again. It's going to be like, don't do that. Don't go until you're ready to go. And I was just like, all right, man, that's fine. I'll trust you on this. And like every couple of weeks, I'd just be like, do you think we're Tour Stop ready? Do you think we're Tour Stop ready?
Mhm.
And he's like, fucking no. He's like, play to a metronome for like every day, an hour a day for 2 months, then come talk to me.
Yeah,
And I was like, okay.
I've worked with RJ for a while now. He started off as an intern for Tour
Yep.
Stop through Belmont, and I will give him credit. I did work him really hard on like who we do book and who we don't book.
Mhm.
And there's a show for just about every act, but like there are some people who like for whatever reason might need to like develop a little bit.
Mhm.
And RJ, I love him for it because he won't tell anybody, no, you're not good enough to play. He'll say, let's work on these things, and then when you are, let's do it.
He's very real in a constructive way.
Totally.
He's always been that way.
Yeah.
Since we met him.
He's an incredibly valuable person to have. You need people in your life that will be honest with you about where you're at, that truly believe in you. Because if you don't believe in me and you're just telling me I should change this, and this, well, you're not really here to help out. You're
Right.
just sharing your opinion, and you don't think I'm going to be able to succeed no matter what. So just close your mouth.
So like
But-
from my perspective, like I really would love to book a show with the Ryman. I'm not ready for it.
Yeah.
And-
There you go.
Like
Let's
just
wait
because
till we
I
sell out.
just because I know the guy who can book me at the Ryman doesn't mean I need to try that.
It's all about
Yeah.
timing.
Yeah.
Timing.
It's
Yeah.
timing at the Ryman. Like
Timing at the
There we
Ryman.
go.
Wow.
Bars.
yeah, I don't want to spend that one like give me a shot thing until I know that I can make it worth their time, and like even if it's just to have the conversation about it.
Yeah.
Early on when I booked my first show at the Basement, like Tour Stop had never done ticketed events before, and the Basement was super hesitant towards letting at that time an essentially unknown promoter or untested promoter like book a whole night.
Yeah.
And I told him, I was like, here's all the stats from our free shows. Here's all of the best bands I've ever booked. These are the bands that I would like to book if you can give us a slot. And they're like, all right, we'll give you 2 dates. And they gave me 2 like back-to-back weeks, and I sold them both out, and they're like, "All right, we'll give you unfettered access to this now." Like,
There we go.
I did it.
There we go. Well, it's a really tough thing to learn, this hey, let me wait mentality.
Mhm.
Like, let me wait so I know this is going to work. I've rushed so much music. Preston has rushed so much music. I've rushed so many other things in my life as well. And as we are, we're on this up and up thing, and we're still trying to learn, and we're definitely at the beginning of our careers right now. But we do get asked a lot of questions from other artists in our life, being like, hey, what do you think we should do? Like, you've kind of done some stuff and it's worked out, so what's your advice? And we, in these last few weeks, have been in the midst of telling like 5 different people, wait, just sit on it. Just give it a second. Practice until you are undeniable. That is
Right.
the word
Yeah.
that we throw around a lot.
I
It's
hear that
like
word all the time.
undeniable.
It's like a do as I say, not as we do kind of mentality, but more so like don't do what we did.
Mhm.
you
Yeah,
know? Like,
I
what we're doing
wouldn't say
now
that.
is
I
what we're
would say
doing-
we do
yeah.
it now.
Yeah, we do it now.
It's
We
like,
definitely
don't,
do it now.
it's more, you don't need to learn for yourself. I touched the hot stove. I'm telling you it's hot.
Yeah,
Don't
and you've
go
got a
touch
little
the
bit more
stove.
credential back in you now. Like, you've got music out, you've
Yeah.
played a lot of shows, you've done ticketed stuff. Like,
Mhm.
just even like little credentials like that
Yeah.
do start to help, and they give
Yeah.
you just enough momentum to start pushing to whatever the next thing can be.
It also gives you a good frame of reference for like what realistic success on and where you're at is.
Mhm.
It's we can't go expect to go sell out Ryman
Right.
if we get asked to go open for some band there. But we do know that we can fill out basement pretty good,
Yeah.
on a Sunday night.
You
we
guys
did, we
can-
did well.
You
Right?
did it. You had your first single release of Castles at the basement with Tour Stop.
We sure
It was
did.
a blast.
Yep, I've got your poster in my box right there.
Heyo, there we go, dude. We
Wow.
have so many.
But yeah, we had that show there at the basement, and that was a big hit, and it was proof to the pudding that you guys are doing something. And
Thank you, brother.
and people are starting to take notice, because it really will show character on people. Like, there's all of us in town want to make it.
Yeah,
But it will show who wants to make it and who will make it,
yeah,
because you can really start to just follow, like, you're doing X, Y, and Z to make these things happen.
Yeah.
And then some people are just like, I want to do this.
Yeah.
And then they just expect to have a result with none of the effort.
yeah. That's
And-
the thing that people really miss is the effort. You have got to outwork everybody. You just
Yeah.
got to work till you're dead. That's
Yeah.
how it goes.
Like, people think that, oh, I'll post once about my show and then they'll come. And
Yeah.
I have seen it before. I'm sure I will see it again, but that is not how it works.
Nope.
I mean, think about, like, even like not music. Think about products that you buy just at the store. How often do you see them advertised? Like, all the time.
Yeah.
Like, do you ever remember seeing like a Colgate toothpaste ad? No, but it's in your brain. It's
Yeah.
just one of those things. And that's why I was like, even the most popular products still have to advertise.
Mhm.
And if you're not a popular product, that means you have to double down
Yep.
and push the hell out of it, because you can tell someone 5-10 times that you're playing a show and they might remember.
Yep.
Yeah.
But if you tell them 20 times,
They're gonna know.
they're probably going to be like, Jesus Christ, I get it.
Yep.
I'll be there. Stop asking me. And you're like, I got one.
Well, there's so much
Yeah,
media
yeah.
that's consumed now that you can't just put out 5, 10, 20, or 15 posts and be like, yeah, it's gonna be good. Like, you have to understand, people are scrolling through hundreds of posts
Oh my
a day.
God.
It's like you can't even just let it be once a day. You got to talk about it on stories. You got to include it on every other post you ever had.
The
Anywhere that
weirdest
you gotta
thing
text
I have
people.
found be successful is this new feature on Instagram where you can put a status in your like inbox.
Yeah, the notes.
The
yeah.
notes, that has been really effective at people finding out when Tour Stop has shows, because they'll just get a DM or something and then it'll just pop up there at the top. And I'm like, oh, who'd have thunk?
Like,
Someone
hey,
will
what do you
respond
know?
to my note and be like, oh, I'll come to that.
There you go.
Mhm.
It's little things like that that you just have to remember to do. And someone's just like, I'll put one post, pin it to the top of my profile, and then people will see it. I'm like, no, they won't.
Yeah,
No, they won't.
that's not how it
Because
works.
the other 5,000 people they follow also posted one thing today.
Yep.
And then you're scrolling through for 20 minutes. You're only going to see whatever Instagram says is your like top algorithm people to see. So to actually like get to a post sometimes, you might have to scroll a
Yeah.
lot.
Once
Yeah.
you like it, it's just out of your home feed.
Yeah.
All the other stuff you haven't liked. So
Yeah, and nobody uses their saved post anymore. Let's be honest, y'all.
Yeah.
No one's checking the stuff that they save on Instagram. That
Did you
used
know
to be a
Instagram
thing.
has a new feed feature, or a relatively new feed feature called favorites?
Really?
So on your main profile Instagram feed, where you're just scrolling through other people's photos,
Yeah.
it will, or videos and reels and stuff. If you click the top of the app at the left-hand side where it just says Instagram and the Instagram script, you can actually change it to where it'll say favorites, and you can choose who you want to see, and it'll show you the. It's like your close friends, but it'll only show you who you want to see, and it won't be like
Oh.
this is recommended for
Wait,
you.
I feel like I have heard of this before. I don't know where that's coming from. I feel like I've on my personal account I've added like
it's
a ton
nice.
of like
So
UFC stuff.
if you only want to see posts from your friends and not the algorithm recommended posts,
Yeah.
that's how to do it.
Well, guys, make sure you go and add this to
Add this
official.
to
please
your
add
close
this too.
friends.
Please,
Yeah.
please.
Actually, add us to your close friends so we can see all y'all's stories.
Yeah.
That's the thing that I love the most. When the band account gets added to like a fan's close friends,
You're like, we made it.
I go watch their stories every single time.
Oh, yeah,
I love
absolutely.
it. I go swipe up. I stay like this too is very 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 active on social media. We take weekends off from posting, but we will still post stories and we still
Mhm.
interact with everything. That's one thing that also gets overlooked, and it's so interesting to say because it feels very Gen Z, but the social media, if you're doing it right,
Mhm.
it is a full-time thing.
It's
It
oh,
is.
absolutely.
Yeah, like if you're actually doing it, if you're actually going in and doing what you're supposed to do to be able to grow and to have the algorithm support you, then it's 100% full-time.
Because you can
interacting
spend so much time not just creating the post, whether or not you're creating it in Photoshop or building a video
Mm-hmm.
in the app and captioning it and then posting it. And then,
You gotta
okay, I'm going to
interact
go
with
through
people.
and like and comment on my other people's stuff
Exactly.
and DM people. And like, it really is
Yep.
so much time.
Yep. You got to go brainstorm the idea. Like we have a meeting pretty much every morning. We do it at least 3-4 times a week where we'll have a sit down and have a meeting. We figure out not just like what are we going to post this week? What is it going to be formatted as? Also, like we just brainstorm different ideas that we think could be funny, could be fun, could be interesting, could be good ways to tease stuff. Like we are super, super big on teasing things for a long time prior to them coming out. All of this stuff is thought out. We didn't just pick the 4 best songs for this EP. We picked, ones that tell this story, and it's a story we've been teasing for a
That's
year.
cool.
Yeah.
So we go through and we sit down, we say, how can we now transition this chapter into this one? And it is so many hours that people don't see. And you're like, guys, I promise there's so much work that gets put on. You guys see one post today, there was 9 hours of work and thought put behind it.
Yeah, like if we lived with our parents, it would just be, you're always on that phone. And like, we're working. I promise, we're working.
It's like, that's like the weird dichotomy of our lives is like, people just see us playing on our phones for all
Yeah.
they know, but it's like, my business lives
Yep.
Mhm.
in my phone.
Yeah, I'm like,
And-
I would love to get off my Explore page right
Same.
now, but I've got to interact with the fans that are in the comments of this other indie band. I have to go look at all their stuff. I have to go like the post. I have to go reply to them. I would love nothing more than to put my phone down and stop seeing everybody's highlight reel or the memes that are not actually funny.
So
But-
talking about the way you guys do your brainstorming for posts,
Yeah.
as a duo, do you have a division of labor between how you divvy up the work that you do as a band?
Yeah.
To a degree, we this surprises people, but we're super, super different. If you guys can't tell 30 minutes into this, I talk a lot, and Preston's much more methodical in how he does his work.
Hello.
But he didn't go to Belmont for music. He went to
Mhm.
Belmont for motion pictures, and he edits and films so many of our videos, and then but I understand a lot more on the social media side, so he'll like edit the videos, and then I'll go in and I'll make them the social media edit.
Cool.
So I'm adding the captions and some quicker cuts and things like that. Whereas he's picturing all these angles, he filmed everything, he's getting a crew together. It's really, really helpful for me when I'm shooting out these big, crazy ideas to have him say, okay, I know how we could shoot this. This would be possible if it's
you can tether down to reality what can actually be accomplished.
Yeah.
mixed
yeah.
with this side of him that is also just my best friend that I can just shoot ideas off of, and then he bounces another one that's crazy back. And usually how it goes is I say, what if we did A? And he goes, what if we did B? And then B makes me think of what C would be, and I go, what if we did C? And we're both like yeah, that's it. It's like I would have never gotten there if he didn't take that first idea in, bounce his own back, and then I grab a piece of the first one and of his, and I put them together, and I'm like, that's ideal.
That's cool.
Yeah. So there's a there's an interesting division of labor. I would say that it's I think that I have a lot more things, but it's because my things are usually quicker paced, whereas he has to spend like a week editing like a 20-minute like an hour and a half of footage down into a 20-minute video, or even less than that. And then I am like, okay, I'm gonna text 200 people today and I'm gonna schedule all of our posts, and I'll like randomly walk in his room and I'm like, hey, I gotta make a story video, do something stupid. And he's like, okay.
Okay.
And I'm like, I haven't like looked away from a screen in an hour and a half, and I'm like, hey.
Yeah, there's I
Trying
would
to
just
be
say that
happy.
there's never a point where we're not working. It's oftentimes on different things. Like I said, we're super different in everything we do. Our strengths are different. So I usually, like, I run the social media and I lead a lot of our communications with most people. And then he is so good at being on the backside of things, planning shoots and making sure we actually have that content that's high quality.
That's good.
Because everything, like we're saying with social media, everything's content right now. You know, making sure we have different angles of things. And then of course he gets to learn he gets to use what he learned in school rather.
Because I went to school for motion pictures, but that was mainly because I didn't want to be told how to do music. You know, I wanted to live in Nashville and kind of still be able to enjoy the music. With motion pictures, it was more like, oh, well, I actually have to learn how to do all this and what these cameras do, what these, how to write a script. It's okay.
Sorry, y'all.
School
Water went
for
down the
motion
wrong pipe.
pictures.
You're good. No, but I had to. I found more enjoyment in learning that stuff instead of, because my first year I lived with a songwriting major, and some of his assignments were like, pick a book out of this box, or pick an item out of this box, close your eyes, and just whatever you pull out, write about it. That's not really how I create. That's not really
how I create either.
how I
I don't
do
like
stuff.
prompts like that.
Some
Yeah.
people thrive with that. I just personally don't. So I didn't want to go to school and kind of have to do assignments like I was doing music, because music was like my escape. So I doing motion pictures, I got to learn how important content was. And then as soon as I graduated, I mean, they had been hand in hand for so long that it was really like, to do both was really easy in terms of just what needed to be done. I knew what needed to be done, how it could be done. And I'm still learning every day, like even motion pictures.
That's the beauty of an art like cinematography or something, is it's constantly evolving.
Yeah.
So it's not like songwriting is a pretty cut and dried thing. This is the song form. These are the chords. And sure, you can mix them up and there's lyric things you can do, but like the art of writing music hasn't really changed that much in the last 500 years.
Yeah.
But I mean, just the way the film industry has developed in the last, what didn't exist 150 years ago.
Dude, what didn't exist 5 years ago is crazy. I mean, like living with Preston, first off, watching movies with him is sometimes super fun, and other times
I can be
apart.
really, really annoying
Yeah.
when it comes to movies, and I know that.
I'll like clear my throat and I just hear him go. And I'm like, I'm sorry, dog. I don't know what to tell
What
you.
it really depends on is the movie, though.
Yeah.
Because if it's like a big important movie, like if we're watching, I don't know, like
Oppenheimer,
yeah, and I hear anything, I might snap. But if we're watching some random movie that's on Amazon Prime, I'll probably let it slide.
The expectations vary.
Yeah. See, it is fun for me though, because he studied motion pictures and he's a DP, so it's cinematography is his thing.
Mhm.
So I enjoy watching movies with him, especially like silly ones, and then being like, tell me what you think about this cinematography.
I love that question.
And like sometimes it blows me away to figure out that like a movie we love is called Strange Wilderness, and it is like it's got like a 1% on Rotten Tomatoes. Everyone thinks it's not funny at all, but me and Preston and everyone I've ever shown it to, and Aaron, I think you would really enjoy it.
It's just that you have to watch it with Evan.
Yeah,
like Evan specifically.
Because I piss myself laughing every time. I think it's
what
so
was this
funny.
movie?
It's called Strange Wilderness with
I've
Steve
never
Zahn.
heard of it.
No one ever has.
Jonah Hill, Justin Long. I mean, they're not like the main
It's-
characters, but
It's so good, but it's just like weird, like almost like mockumentary style thing.
Okay.
And even just this like 2008 comedy film with Steve Zahn.
Mhm.
And I'm like in the middle of it. I turn to Preston. I'm like, so what do you think about the cinematography? He's like, dude, they're using like Dutch angles right now. It's
Yeah.
Oh my
Using
god,
heavy
the Dutch
composition,
angle.
and honestly, the framing is very nice. They're moving the camera. Each shot has 2 parts.
Mhm.
Like,
Dude, okay, so have you seen the first Thor movie?
yeah,
ooh,
dude,
yeah,
a
it's
million
my-
times.
It's the sloppiest overuse of the Dutch angle. It's so hard to
It
watch.
was 2011, right? I think it was 2011.
I don't hate that movie, but it is my least favorite Marvel movie.
What?
I think just from what I've seen in all the Marvel movies
You
that
haven't
I've
seen
enjoyed.
Captain
when
Marvel.
Actually, I think
That's
Thor
fair.
Dark
Actually,
World is
that
my
is the
least
worst.
favorite.
Thor: Dark World is pretty horrific. Yeah. I think the
Yeah.
first one is fun. I mean, I don't think it's anything. I mean, the blonde eyebrows is just where you
Yeah.
is where
Did
you
you
Thor
like
Ragnarok's one of
Ragnarok?
my- yeah, Ragnarok was one of my
Ragnarok was great.
favorite.
Did you see Love and Thunder?
did see Love and Thunder.
Did see Love and
Yeah.
I thought aesthetically the visual look of Love and Thunder was great.
fucking
I like the
awesome.
black and white part.
Yeah. Like that was awesome. I didn't love the story of it.
I didn't
I just
either.
thought they wasted gore.
Mm-hmm.
Like
did,
I
they
thought
did.
the whole thing, like they had Christian Bale playing such an awesome character, and they could have done this like almost how Dark Knight was definitely a Heath Ledger Joker movie.
Oh yeah.
And it was more about that than it was about Christian Bale as Batman. It's like this could have been about Christian Bale as Gore and not about Thor, because the entirety of the composition that had to do with Thor was just like jokes and like surface level stuff until, I don't want to spoil it, but until the end and some like cool stuff happens. But you're like, okay. But the whole movie could have like dove into like Gore's background and all
Yep.
that stuff like the
It
opening
could have been
scene did.
so dark and brooding,
Yeah,
which is
and
one of the reasons why I love Phyllis. What are you doing?
he's sniffing my foot.
She's just smelling
She's
your
having
shoes.
fun.
She's a long dog, dude. You got to dox
Yeah.
him. That's just how it goes.
Yeah.
She stretches.
Let's talk a little bit more about that. After we take a quick commercial break, we'll come back with this too on the Nashville Tour Stop podcast. And we're back with the Nashville Tour Stop podcast, joined this week by Evan and Preston of THIS2. Welcome back.
Thank you.
We're back.
Gentlemen, thank you for spending the afternoon with us here in Casa de Phyllis. And I'm so glad to finally have you guys, because you came over here to hang out once. Like,
Yeah.
it was several months ago now, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know how we haven't done it since then. It was a great time. It was like tax season, dude.
Yeah,
I don't know
yeah.
how we
Oh,
haven't hung
yeah.
out since then.
Oh my God, that's exactly
Yeah,
what it
'cause you were
was.
doing
It
your
was the
taxes that
day
day.
I was filing my taxes.
You
Yeah.
had like your little box.
Oh my God. So
We see each other all the time, though.
we do
That's-
see each
yeah.
other all the time. It's
I'm
not like I haven't seen you guys.
Yeah.
One of the things that I like to talk about when I have bands or duos on is what you two do to maintain the friendship behind it. Because obviously, working together, this is very exciting. You play in the band, and that's awesome. And you get to rehearse and all of that. The music's fun. But what do you do to maintain the personal relationship that keeps the professional and the personal separate from one another?
That's a good question. You know, like you said, the music stuff is super, super fun. So it helps that we have a good time performing together, and it helps that we have a good time rehearsing together. But we live together too, right?
Okay.
So like things definitely get tense. A big piece of it, sometimes you just have to know when to like give the other one space and recognize like, hey, either he's in a mood or I'm in a mood, and right now we just need to split off, and there doesn't need to be much conversation. And if shit needs to get done, it's like, hey, we just get these things done, and I'm gonna go do this stuff, and then we reconvene, whether it's the next day or just a couple hours later. But outside of that, we do a lot of stuff together just to have fun. We watch movies together. We watch TV together. We sit at the end of the day and we talk with each other and just like hang out and shoot the shit and pick each other's brains. We
Do you
we-
two ever like schedule like work time when
Yeah.
work happens?
Yeah. We schedule like our morning meetings, and then when the meetings come up, we kind of set an end time. And then like on the days where we know the other one's working, you know, we already understand that's a certain end time for stuff we're doing together. So it's like, if I have to leave for work at 4 and we have our meeting at 9, and it goes till 10:30. We say, okay, we have up until noon to get this post done, and then we get that posted. And between noon and like 4, anything we need to do together, we'll do together. And then if I'm going to work, he's gonna go do everything that he needs to do that he doesn't need me for, like editing certain videos, or meeting with professors to talk about some music video shoot stuff. And then when he's at work on the weekends and stuff, that's when I'm like really, really diving into social stuff.
Okay.
That's when I'm responding to a lot of emails. That's when I'm kind of setting up plans for the next week, and scheduling our stuff. But we're both like, obviously we started in gymnastics, but we're fitness nuts. We really, really love exercise. And as good as he was a gymnast and as bad as I was a gymnast, I was a pretty good MMA fighter for a little bit, and I trained very competitively. I didn't have any professional fights or anything like that, but I really, really enjoy it. And that's something we've bonded over a lot. We have Saturday nights where we watch UFC fights together, sometimes Fridays when we're watching Bellator or One, and then several times a week we get to glove up and punch each other in the face. And that always helps. Yeah, getting to beat each other up is probably a big piece of why we're able to kind of flow with each other.
Yeah.
Because we get to have that outlet of, one, exercise helps with all things mental health. It's going to help your anxiety. You get to work that stuff out. It's going to help with depression, which is a big thing for us. But, if he's annoying me, I just get to hit him really hard in the stomach. I was like, and if I'm annoying him, he gets to hit me really hard in the stomach.
You going to the gym and getting ripped.
I was like, it's just a lot of we know how to like push ourselves, and we know how to push the other. So we just do a lot of stuff together, I guess. I think it's because music isn't the big thing, right?
Doing stuff together for so long, it's really just kind of, it's really easy to determine what needs to happen in the moment.
Yeah.
And just kind of we react in that way because it's like there's so many things that we're thinking about that it's just like, hello. It's just, what do we need to do today? Okay, well, are we going to be able to get it done today? But as I was saying, we've been doing this for so long that it doesn't feel unnatural. It comes more naturally to deal with things when they arise, and it's very easy to just kind of nip them immediately. Or if they do kind of go on for a little while, all we got to do is sit down, have a talk, and then move on from there. Because A, we know we have stuff to get done.
Right.
B, we've both been in situations where it's like, can we just talk it out? Like, what, this doesn't need to happen like this. Can we just sit down and talk? And so that's kind of how we approach it. And also, it's just
we don't have a lot of conflict in the first place.
Have a lot of conflict. It's not like the worst.
Do you think that is partly because you've just known each other for so long?
Definitely partially that, but we also, I mean, dude, it was like 3 years of friendship before either of us ever got mad at each other.
Yeah.
Like, we've just always worked pretty well together. So it's like, we don't get super angry at each other. Like, it's, the way I would sum it up is, it's been a long time since either of us has needed to apologize to the other.
Gotcha.
Like, we've both definitely had moods, and it's like, you can tell the other person's pretty done, and like, you want to say as little as you can, but you got to get out what's needed of saying, hey, well, we still have shit we have to do today. But there's no need to go beat around the bush if somebody's in a bad mood. So it's like, usually because we can pick up that the other person's not really feeling it that day, we're able to avoid anything. We're like, I don't call this guy names. He doesn't say things rude to me. Like, it's like, we're respectful to each other.
That's good.
So
living with somebody who you also work with and are in a band with, like, I did that, and it's really hard.
Yeah.
Because if you don't give each other the space or the respect on one thing or the other, it really can start to drive that wedge. And that's what happened to me. Was like, we had the issues. We could both feel the tension, but neither of us would say, hey, like, what the fuck is going on? Why are we both mad? Like, what is the root of the problem? And might be my fault, might be the other person's fault, but that was inevitably what came to be the undoing of it, was the absolute lack of communication. And then everything just boiled up to one point, and we're like, this is done.
Yeah, no, you have to talk. You have to talk. When we do a good job at saying, like, hey, are there grievances right now? Like, is there something
the
that we
airing
need
of
to
the
bring
grievances?
up? Yeah, like, we'll do it in meetings, and like, usually, like, we drive to get, like, if we go have a meeting, we do it at like a coffee shop. Sometimes we'll, like, if it's a really busy day, we'll do it at the apartment, but it helps us to get out. And then we go to the coffee shop, and it's like, kind of how it goes, and it's an unspoken thing, but it's just kind of how we've developed it, is we don't really talk about the work until we've had that first sip of coffee.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like we have this moment to, if I didn't see him much the night before, maybe he got in later, I got in late, we were super, super tired, it was just a bad day, something like that. Then the next morning, it's like, hey man, you know, how was yesterday? Tell me about this. Like, you know, let me pick your brain. Or, hey, did you see this thing? And it's just shooting the shit. And then we're in line and coffee. We say hello to the baristas we know. And then we sit down. We're still shooting the shit, still joking, laughing. We sit down and we have a sip of coffee. And then it goes, okay, cool.
Now let's work.
Now let's get onto the stuff. Hey man, this is what I was thinking should be
For a
on our
long
plate today.
time. That was what helped me like focus, was because like I couldn't figure out like where work happens or when work happens,
Yeah.
because tour
Think it's
stop, being
tricky.
self-employed the way I am,
Yep.
is kind of this just amorphous job that's kind of in the morning, kind of in the afternoons, most of the time at night. But
It's tricky.
It's weird and awesome. But for a while, I was really just kind of letting all of my problems, personally and professionally, just pile on at the same time. It's like, all right, what is causing this stress that's happening right now? And I was like, I think it's because I don't have any division of when I do and do not do work.
Yeah.
And I've had to give myself really strict limits on, like, okay, these are when the shows happen. These are the days that I need to prepare for the shows that need to happen. And then when can I go grocery shopping?
Yeah.
Like, when can I do errand stuff?
yeah.
Yeah.
And like right now I have it kind of set up with this really kind of nice schedule. It's like generally it's Saturdays and Sundays I don't do anything that's
Mhm.
related to work. And if people text me asking for shows, most of the time I won't respond
Yeah.
until Monday
Yeah.
when I'm back in that like work
You
happens
say, hey,
now
I'm
brain.
in
Yeah.
office now.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Office
Setting your own
hours.
office hours is super important.
Yeah, so to make that separation for a while, I actually had my office over by Tennessee Brew Works, is just where we
were just
resurrected the
talking to-
podcast.
yeah. we're talking to RJ
And
about that.
it was great because it allowed me to have the whole like, this is when I'm going to the office.
Uh-huh.
If somebody wants to come stop by the office and look for shows or do anything, be part of the podcast, I will be here from 10 in the morning until 5 p.m. any day.
Yeah.
And like having that, like, this is it.
Yeah.
Really felt good. Like the psychological relief of leaving the office and coming home was incredible. It changed my life.
Yeah.
And that's why now, like, as soon as we're done recording this podcast, I'll tear this stuff down and then take the dog for a walk and then just be Aaron.
Yeah.
And I don't have to, like, think, oh, God, now I have to go do all the poster work and I have to do all the blah, 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 blah.
Well,
It's
you want to have a clear-cut separation between different pieces of your identity, right?
Mm.
Otherwise, it all starts to get muddy and you don't really
Mhm.
know who you are. And, you know, especially if you're building a business, which, you know, we love making music, but we're not blind to what this is. We're building a business. This too is a business, and that's how it is. So we have to be able
That's why
to
it's called the music business.
exactly like you know we have to, you know, be entrepreneurs in that sense, and sometimes we got to put our foot down and look at things from a business perspective. But if we just do that in our lives,
Mm-hmm.
it burns bridges, it kills relationships, it overworks people, it pushes people away. You can't do that. I think, you know, most days we have a set start time to work, but every day we have a set stop time. to
That's good.
working. And that's the really, really important part. Now, it's not to say we've never booked things past that, like our show on Wednesdays. You know, we're not on stage till 9:30. Usually we wouldn't be working by then.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, for Wednesday, we're going to work past then, right? We're going to go through that. We're going to do the whole thing after the show, meet everybody, say our hellos, get back. And it also gives us this freedom to say, when we sit down after work one day, whether it's after day jobs or just after 8 hours of what we've been doing, and we say, okay, time to breathe, and we sit down on the couch and we whether we're making dinner, whatever it is, sometimes then the creative juices start to get flowing again, and we can say, hey, do you want to do this right now?
You almost get like excited to do the work.
Exactly. Because it's a choice. It's 100% a choice. And like when
back
you load up
to-
your own days like that.
Back to not wanting to go to college for it. I mean, I only really create when I'm in those spaces where there's no pressure.
Mm-hmm.
where
Yeah.
There's nothing kind of going on. I can create not in those spaces, but I think I do my best work when I'm.
Yeah,
Why
that's
not?
one of the things that never gelled with me totally about Nashville was the whole like the co-write culture.
Dude,
Which-
it's so weird.
The
I
whole
can't turn it on.
I have a 10 to 2 and then I have a 2 to 6 and then a 6 to 10. I'm like, I don't like to be creative on a calendar.
Yeah,
Inspiration doesn't strike at 10:01 a.m. when you start that co-write.
exactly.
Sometimes it might take an hour and a half to get something that you even think might be a good idea. And I don't like thinking like that. And some people, obviously, that's how the business kind of operates with publishing companies and everything. But that, for me, is not how my creative process works.
Yeah, we're both with you on that. We've talked about it a lot, and even in our own writing, we don't oftentimes start something together. I don't know the last time we started something together, and if we did, it like specifically music, started like a song together, and if we did, I don't know if any of them have come to fruition. Like it's always something strikes one of us, and if it's really early in the process, like I might say to Preston, hey, I think I have something. Give me a little bit. I'm gonna call you in to hear this in a second. And he's like, okay. And whether it's that day or a couple days later, I'll show him something. I'll be like, hey, I'm stuck at this point. You know, just let me know if you like this, if I should keep going.
So, yeah, being in an equal share duo, how do you two approach the songwriting process? Do you come with like I have an idea for a song, or do you have that 10 o'clock where let's try to write an idea?
No, it's definitely the ideas thing. Preston, do you want to speak on it?
Yeah, well, most of the time, it's just we come to each other and we're like, we have this hook, or like we have this verse. Want to help finish it, and then we'll work on it for a little bit. And sometimes, very rarely, it'll just be like, actually, I think I need to go finish this alone or something like that. So it's really just about letting the other person create in their own way, whatever they need to do to get this thought and this idea kind of where they want it. And like Evan brings songs to me all the time, and I will be like, I will do whatever I can to help
to approach that artistic idea and like contribute to that without altering the
contribute to it without changing anything like that you were going for originally. And I didn't do a lot of co-writes. My co-write list is very short. So it's always a little difficult for me, but I've been doing it with him so long, he's really the only one I can actually feel comfortable co-writing with.
That comfortability is really important. It's something that one of the reasons why I don't like just blind co-writing.
Yeah.
Because I don't feel comfortable spilling my life story to strangers.
That's one of the big things that I start like drawing out whenever we do co-writes. And I want to touch back on the THIS2 songwriting here in a second, but I want to talk on this first. When it comes to co-writes, to anybody that's written with me, whether it's been with both Preston and I, or if it's just been with me, you know that I go pick your brain and I say, tell me everything that's going on in your life. Tell me if there are relationship troubles. I want to know everything about it. If there's stuff going on with your family, tell me everything about it.
And sometimes you don't want to spill all of your dirty laundry onto somebody who, like, I don't know if you're prepared to hear about my emotional trauma.
Yeah, and my thought is if you're not down for that stuff, then it's like, well, then you got to be ready to accept that we're probably not going to write that great of a song, and no matter what song we write, I'm telling you, me and my band, we're not going to take it. Like, this isn't like, there's a lot of that. There's a lot of songwriters that want to write with us so that we'll cut their song. And I'm like, hey man,
it's probably not going to happen.
Yeah, THIS2 songs are always going to be ones that we have written that came from a real place for us. And like most of the songs that THIS2 has now, I've written the majority of, and then I'll grab Preston and I'll be like, hey man, let's hear some of your flair on this. Even if it's just like his thought process through harmonies, because we don't ever just stick with like a third or a fifth or a seventh. Like we have, like Preston very intentionally picks different harmonies to kind of match the vibe of whatever it is we're singing about. I've
always liked the instrumentation of songs a little more, because I grew up on orchestral music from my dad's side, and then I just love like strings or instruments in general. So
very classical
I like
based stuff.
Yeah,
so
he's got great melodies too.
Yeah, when I'm doing these harmonies, when I'm doing stuff, I like to think of like that secondary harmony. But sometimes I'll think, would a violin do this, or like what would fit in here to where I can sing this, kind of like a certain instrument, to add something that isn't just a voice harmony.
Gotcha. Yeah. Preston uses his voice as an instrument as good, if not better, than almost anybody I've heard in the city. He's very intentional with it, and it's why I love doing this stuff with him, because I've focused so much on lyrics. But like that's just what's important to me in all things music. I think, hey, let's get this storytelling side of things. I've always been a bit of a writer, and then Preston has this beautiful ability to build an instrumentation. and I like to hear things, and I've like been able to bounce a lot of things off with him like that, and we're able to like really work together. That's where it goes from Evan writing a song to THIS2 having a song, is when it goes to this like, it goes to Preston, and it's like, okay, now not do something with what I've created. It's add you to what is here already. Like, how do you make this a you thing?
And that wouldn't have come without the years of already doing it on our own time.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
So we've taken the time to figure each other out in that regard, and
We
Well,
know
it's
what the
very
other one's
organic.
good at.
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. It's like like, I'll get into writing a song, and like I'll talk about Dreams, which is a song that's likely gonna be on the second record. And it's a song that I was like writing about my dad, and some of the worst parts of growing up, and then how some advice I got from my dad has really kind of shaped how I go through life now. And I was writing the song, I was like, this is really, really pretty, but it's nothing special. And then I remember being like, but if I can get Preston to sing this, this, and this, and then maybe he'll just sing something right here, then it'll be cool. And I go to Preston and I'm like, hey, will you sing this, this, and this? And he's like, what if it was this, this, and that?
Mhm.
And I'm like,
I like
yo. And then I'm like, okay, and then do something right
The
here.
whole
And it's
A,
good
B,
to
and
have
he's
C
that
like, I got
segment.
second. I don't want to like opinion. It's like just somebody else's creativity that
Yeah.
is there to enhance the entire thing.
That you
that's how-
trust.
if you do songwriting and you do music for a long time, you hit a point where you've just kind of figured yourself out and kind of how your brain works, and you need that kind of
Synergy.
yeah,
Yeah.
you need that second person or that band to really elevate you to that next level of like, what's this new sound
Right.
that I can make? And
Like when I was co-writing, I realized early on it's like my lyrical contribution to a co-write wasn't going to be as I don't want to say effective, but we'll use that word effective as my like guitar writing,
Yeah.
the music writing of it. So it's like if I come into a co-writer, if I go to one, I have to find somebody whose skill as a songwriter is going to complement that, because you don't need to have 3 guitar player songwriters all being like, this is the
Yeah.
riff. No, this
Exactly.
is the
Mm.
riff.
That's the key factor of our partnership, and when we're saying like how we're just so different and it
The
surprises
complementary
people.
skills.
Yeah, yeah. It's not, we're not both crazy great lyricists. I'm not the greatest composer. I couldn't even find a third harmony on anything. I couldn't do it. I'm like, I don't know anything about this stuff. But Preston can go mix between 9 different things and it works great.
That's awesome.
And then, usually how our like songwriting stuff ends up going is because we know so well what the other person needs just based off their body language or kind of where their brain's going. I like to just talk. I like to just go say a million things, and I kind of rant, and I go through this therapy session, and then all of a sudden I'm like, wait, okay,
That
wait, I
one.
found the line.
You're
It
like,
happened.
these 3 words work.
Mhm.
Let's use those ones.
Yep. And then Preston's good at sitting there and asking the questions or stopping and not talking in the pauses and just looking at me, being like, I know you're not finished yet.
yeah.
I know there's something else here.
I know he has a certain face
I
when he's
love
trying to
when you're
figure
in a write and
something
you're just
out.
like, I have 6% of an idea. Hold on.
Yeah. And then
That's how it starts.
Yeah.
So you have to let it grow organically. Yeah.
and just like the content thing where it would be like, I'm like, hey, here's this idea A. And he's like, well, here's idea B. And then I'm like, what if it was C? And we come
Mhm.
together. That's what a lot of like lyrics, same thing on Dreams. We couldn't figure out what the hook of it was going to be. And then he said something about dreams, and it was just he said the word dreams, and I was like, okay, none of that except that thing. And then we went on from there. And it was like we found that hook line using dreams, and it's like that would have never, ever, 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 ever happened if it wasn't for Preston first being willing to hear the first line I said, second saying his thought on the line, and then third my willingness to say, that piece of your line.
So you have the new single coming out tomorrow, the day after where we are releasing this episode.
That's
Would
right.
you tell us about this new single you've got coming out?
Dude, this single it's the single.
It's the
It really
the
is.
single.
It
the
is.
THIS2 single.
This was so Castles and Normal were both written before THIS2 existed
Gotcha.
officially. And they were both written back to back, and they were the start of an era. And that's actually why Normal is going to be the title of the entire EP. Fun fact, you guys now know this because you're listening to the podcast, the real ones. But Normal is a song that I wrote as this like last hope in this terrible, terrible emotional place I was in, some dark, dark winter.
Mm-hmm.
I'd been cheated on. It was just heartbreaking from it. It was like cheated on by like a girl who I didn't really care too much about, but for some reason my heart was just so attached to this idea. And I had no idea why until I wrote the song. And then I remember like turning to Preston and being like, this is why. This is why this whole thing happened. This is why I've like been so attached to this for like a
It
weird
is
reason.
very therapeutic when you can have that like cathartic experience of writing the song that
Yeah.
actually conveys how you feel.
I
Yeah.
think that experience is what helped me the most in learning how Evan makes music and
Mhm.
how I can approach Evan making music and how I can help.
That's
Because
good.
I had to be very methodical with how I like approach him in this season because it was just such a heavy season.
It was a really, really tough time. And
Yeah.
it was like I was a grenade with the pin pulled already. And you're just kind of holding the hammer
Yeah.
down. And you
Mhm.
know if you let that thing go, you got 3 seconds to get out of there. And he was so carefully trading hands as he's trying to keep this hammer down and try to
And
put that pin back in.
I wasn't 100% successful, but we did make a damn good song.
Yeah, we made a great song. And even if they were just, it's on video. We have a lot of pretty much everything we've done out here is on camera.
So for
Um,
those of the listeners who've never heard your music before, what's your like your elevator pitch for what you sound like?
We are an indie pop duo.
Like straight
Kind of
pop,
say again.
like straight pop. Just the
You know, I
because
would
it's not bubblegum pop.
no. I definitely think that indie is a really important piece of
Yeah.
it. And now this record is a lot poppier than I think some of the songs that are to come. Especially Castles was, but Normal is kind of going to be this shift where it is a lot more indie sounding and it's a little less commercial friendly. I don't know. It's kind of like if Jonas Brothers met Ed Sheeran and Noah Khan. That's
But
kind
still
of
pretty early in their careers.
that.
yeah,
you know?
yeah. Still pretty early with all of it. Come to our live shows. It's a different vibe. It's a lot more rocky. We want to be versatile in all things music. One day, this too will have a couple rap songs. Like we'll have country records. Like we just like music. We
You
like
can
doing
rap,
all
can't
sorts.
you, Preston?
I can.
I can.
That's racist. That's
I think I've heard you rap before.
Probably. I mean,
I talk so fast. I basically rap just in conversation.
yeah, I was about to say he would probably excel at rapping, but I like writing raps. I like the
Okay.
process of writing raps because that's I think how my brain would work if I didn't take so long
Mm-hmm.
to like come up with these things. Because sometimes I'll have a line, and then that line will funnel 35 minutes worth
Right.
of just straight writing, and then I'll be done for the next 6 months.
Yeah,
And,
it's you like bottle it up until you
yeah.
have this stream of consciousness that is just a lyrical masterpiece.
And I'm just like I could do rap, but I don't think I could do it as a career. You know, I
Right.
don't think I'd write enough to be like I'm gonna release an album a year.
Well, gentlemen, thank you for coming on the podcast today. So, where can folks find you online? Where can they hear your new single?
Well, you guys can hear Normal anywhere you find music: Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon, YouTube, SoundCloud, anywhere you want. Preferably Spotify. You don't use Spotify. Weird.
Follow
but
them on Spotify.
Please
Yeah,
follow us on
please.
Spotify. That's the fun thing. Definitely check us out on Instagram at THIS2official, THIS, then the number 2, then the word official. Please don't ask me to spell that.
And is your TikTok also THIS2 official?
Everything is THIS2official.
Awesome.
TikTok's THIS2official, Instagram, Twitter, Threads, all that cool
We
stuff.
keep it simple.
OnlyFans. Anywhere you want
OnlyFans
to
for
find
sure.
us, you'll find us.
I will have your links hyperlinked in the episode description for this episode as well.
Hell yeah.
Wow.
Is there anything you'd like to say to the listeners before we finish this week's episode? I've got one more question, but I'll let you speak now.
Preston, I got something, but I want you to get the chance first.
I'll say to anyone listening who just wants to be in our shoes or do what we're doing,
You
just-
don't?
You don't.
Turn around now.
Yeah.
Run.
Quit before it's too late.
Move away from Nashville. No, it's just like it is a lot of effort and it is a lot of work.
Mhm.
And you have to be willing to do all that. But it is still one of the greatest jobs ever. It's one of the most rewarding and enjoyable kind of things to do. I mean, when you're on that stage or when you're just in your room alone making music, I mean, that's if that's really what you want to be doing, you feel it. You feel it.
Yeah, I mean, whether it's music or anything else, doing what God put you on earth to do and doing what you're really here to do, that right there is the most rewarding thing in the world. For us, it's music. We got a lot of other things we love. Like I mentioned earlier, I love fighting. Preston really loves movies. And these are definitely things we want to keep in our lives. But when it comes down to it, doing what you love, there's nothing like it. But if there's anything that I could leave everyone with, we appreciate you guys for listening. We appreciate you guys for tuning in. We appreciate you guys for being fans of us. We want you to know there's a lot of cool shit that's coming. It's not just some band thing. Big things are coming. There's so many awesome things that we have in the wings. Please stick around. Please appreciate the tiny details. If you look hard enough, you're going to find a lot of cool things. So don't blink.
So the last question I want to ask this week is something that I've asked on a couple of episodes lately. And we've talked so much about the music biz. I like to learn a little bit about stuff that's not music.
Yeah.
And do either of you have just places in Nashville that you like to go that you might recommend to someone who either lives here and is listening, or someone who might want to visit that you would go to that's not just like a venue? Go see the Bluebird. Do you have any like Nashville things that you like? Food, drink, restaurants, parks?
I don't want to dox them because I'm like, don't just let me. It's my spot. No, I'm kidding. We both love Red Bicycle. It's a little coffee shop on Nolensville Pike. We love the baristas there. They're sweethearts.
I was at the Red Bicycle in Nations not just 2 days ago.
Oh, really?
Wow.
It's a great one.
There you go. Red Bike is awesome. There's a little. I kind of want to. No, I don't want to dox where we're at though.
Yeah.
I would just say try the food trucks in East Nashville. There's
a lot of good ones.
Yeah. I don't know. Preston and I are more and more homebodies these days. So I think when we spend so much time out, our place to relax really is our place, like in our apartment. But if we go anywhere, it's usually a food truck or to get coffee. Preston, what do you think?
I don't know if it's exactly a specific place, but I think if you look hard enough, especially in East Nashville, like the food culture, you can get whatever you want wherever
you really
you
can.
want. It's really
very
awesome.
authentic too.
It's very authentic. It's more authentic than I think people would expect from a Tennessee city.
It's very diverse.
The food, just no one specific place. It's whatever you guys want. I'm sure you're gonna find something, but don't just go on Google Maps and look up restaurants. Because
don't do the top 10 things to do in Nashville.
Do not do that.
I typically don't recommend any of the top 10 things to do.
Those are actually the top 10 most expensive things you can
That's
do.
exactly what it should say.
Especially because parking is
expensive things to
$30 anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, I actually recommend you stay home because you got to pay $45 to park anywhere and you're still going to get booted.
Yes.
Rough.
Rough.
Well, y'all, thank you for joining us this week.
Well, thank you for having us.
Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening to this week's episode of the Nashville Tour Stop Podcast. You can follow us on social media platforms all over the interwebs at Nashville Tour Stop. If you'd like to find our full live event calendar, you can check us out on the web at NashvilleTourStop.com. Most importantly, please just subscribe to our podcast here. Leave us a 5-star review, or if you really made it this far and you hate it, leave me a 1-star review. Tell me why you listened for an hour and still wanted to leave a 1-star review. So I would love to hear that too. But even though that is the end of this week's episode, we will be back next week right here featuring our producer for a long time, Mr. Alex Amato. So until next week, please do remember that all roads lead right back here to the Nashville Tour Stop.
Yeehaw, motherfucker!